Welcome to episode 44 Out of Bounds, a podcast where I give my social commentary on different topics in today's society. I'm your host, Terry, and today I want to talk a little bit about mental health. I definitely kind of documented my own journey with depression and mental health in one of my previous episodes, if you want to check that out. That's kind of my background with it, but not just my own different journey with it, but also just my interactions with people of various different type of issues and kind of what is becoming in society. And I've mentioned this before in different topics, but I'm really starting to realize the more and more I get into it that society has really pushed up this issue, but not to a point where it is being addressed, I think, correctly and, being figured out and being worked through. It almost has just been pushed to a point of it being a crutch. And that is an issue I definitely have, because for a long time, it was an issue that was not getting the attention it deserved. And you had people that definitely had not just their own personal issues, but ended up affecting others with, big time incidents because of it. But then you've also had a lot of people that learn to cope and learn to continue on and live. And it's not to say that we don't need help or anything. It's just that there's almost like a victim mentality almost. I don't know if that's the correct word, but like I said, this crutch mentality that we have in 2019 when it comes to mental health issues, because it's a buzzword. It's like mental health. Oh, yeah, I agree. And you don't even know what you're agreeing about. Or you're just like, I support, helping mental health. And you don't really know what it is. And so there's more light. And I just think the pendulum swing from 0 to 100 like it does with most of these issues, where there's more light on this idea of self-care, this idea of, stress and anxiety and all this. And it's a thing because now everybody has it, because the younger generation that grew up with hearing the rhetoric now they're just, I have this. And there's comedians that talked about it. Now that I think about it, there's definitely people that have talked about it, where it's like I would say the 18 to 24-year-old generation right now, or age demographic, where it's just a lot of people are just like, I'm this, I'm that, and that, because somebody told you are. And that is a powerful thing. Now, it's not to say that people don't actually have these issues. They do. I personally believe, and it's been said, that everybody has some type of mental health issue as far as the spectrum. And it could be just trauma from something in your childhood. It doesn't have to be exactly a hormone or chemical imbalance in your brain or any of that type of stuff. It could be just trauma. So mental health is such a wide ranging topic that, yes, I believe a lot of people do have some type of issues with mental health. But there is something to be said on how you act after you've been told that you have something. And so I was talking with somebody, and they were telling me, we were catching up, and they were saying, I have OCD. I've been diagnosed with OCD. And so a lot of times when we would talk, and they'll be complaining about something like, what was wrong today, or this or that. And it was like, it's just some OCD stuff. It was some OCD stuff. It's anxiety because of my OCD stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? I've known you for a while, been diagnosed for a year. I've known you for a little bit, and you never acted like that. You know what I mean? And then never really had that type of anxiety either over different things. I didn't even, honestly, I know OCD, it probably can manifest differently for people, but I never noticed this person to be that obsessive or have any compulsive disorders like that. But I mean, if it's diagnosed, it's diagnosed. But it's just, to me, it's like, it's something that happens when you believe it or you think it or you don't have any evidence of it, versus when somebody tells you and you just go ahead with it. So now it's just people have made it their identity. And that's like a lot of things in today's society I could complain about, but people are making it their identity, and it's not all who you are. Like, my name is Terry. I'm Terry. I don't come up, I'm depressed Terry. You know what I mean? Depression isn't on my resume. That's not who I am. It's something I have, but it's not who I am. I don't need to tell everybody I meet that. I don't need to, qualify every statement with I'm depressed. And I see a lot of people doing that. And I know some people will say that's claiming it and taking ownership of it and being proud or whatever. I don't know. I think two things can be true at once, as always. I think it teeters a little bit more towards they're defining their actions and everything by it. And there's definitely, like I said, levels where it does affect your actions heavily. But at the same time, this is something that's not new to society, and there are ways to work through it. And that's my next point, which is probably the biggest point. I feel like people have just stopped at the diagnosis. Like, they want to self-diagnose because they watch videos or see other people, and it's like, yep, I'm depressed. Oh, I need to take a depression nap. Every nap I take is a depression nap. Or, oh yeah, I have OCD. Or, yeah, I have bad public anxiety. Like, for the longest time, people, just off to the side, people don't like public speaking. There's a lot of people that don't like it. And if people get anxious about it, nervous or whatever, they can work through it and all that. But now that mental health is in the forefront, we talk about anxiety. It's like, oh, no public speaking. I have anxiety. That gives me bad anxiety. And as I talked about with depression before, is that if you just stop at the diagnosis and say, oh, that's what I have, that's what it is, nothing can change, then nothing will change. And I think people have gotten, that's why I said a crutch, people have gotten to a place where it's just like, I'm going to name what the mental health is, and I'm going to just use that as the reason why I can't do X, Y, Z. And for certain situations, that is true. But for the most part, there are ways. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these professionals. It wouldn't be this profession. They wouldn't be just saying, okay, well, you got it, too bad. No, there are ways to work through it, and there's ways to improve. But I see a lot of people that don't. They just want to own this mental health claim and just keep on moving. And I think that's working to the detriment of our society, especially if we're not continuing to tell the younger generation that there's ways to move past it. It's just almost like, hey, you got mental health and you just walked away. No, you seem like, or I wouldn't say this, but you say, hey, kids, these things exist. You could have this, you could feel this. This is how it works. But then there's also ways to combat that. There's ways to improve from that. There's ways that you can continue to self-improve throughout your life. No one ever talks about that part. And so what you do is you see people walking around, you see people online profiles, you see people tweeting and, Instagram, everything, and just talking about, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that and I'm that and I'm this. And there's no next part to it. And I believe it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes this feedback loop where it's like, well, I have this, so I can't do this, and then that makes me feel this, and when I feel this, it makes me this, and I can't do this because I feel that, and it just keep going in the same loop. Like I talked about with the person I know, it's just like, well, do you ever stop and think that maybe you get trapped into these circles because once somebody told you have OCD, now that's all you fixated on, and that's the lens that you're looking through. You're looking through this lens of this is what I have and that's it. And you're not looking through the lens of I'm more than just that. And that's what I kind of feel we're in that dangerous territory where people, as I said, they continue to perpetuate what they think is going to happen, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I personally just never like to put the limits on myself, especially because, and this is the biggest thing, I didn't know what I was feeling. Like, I didn't classify it as depression before I was diagnosed. And so I never said, oh, well, I can't do these things or I can't continue to do this or that. I knew that I shut down in certain instances and I had to work my way through it and figure out different ways that when it does happen that I could, maneuver. But I never said, okay, well, I just give up. I can't do anything or I can't do certain things. And then when I was diagnosed with, by the time, because it was way later, I was just like, okay, that's what it is. I can learn more about it, continue to move forward from it. But I never saw myself as just that, mental health issue. But I think so many people now, they're getting it young and people are telling them these things young. And don't even bring in the fact that there's so many misdiagnoses. Like, there's people that miss diagnosis, especially when it comes to learning disabilities. They'll miss that for years and sometimes never catch it in school. There's doctors that misdiagnose all the time. And so people, because it's on the pedestal, because it's in the light right now, as soon as someone might say they have mental health issue, they want to cling on to it. Like it's 100% fact. Nothing can change that. That's what it is. That's who I am. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. I have OCD. And it's like, there's nuance. You got to think past that. And even if it is true, you still got to think past that. And that's just how I feel about it. I think some people really trap themselves under this title. And I think part of it is because people want to be part of the cause. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. You can say that about any social justice movement. There are people that just want to be part of the cause. They want a moral grandstand. They want to be a part of the progressives. And so there's that too. It becomes weird. It becomes weird. And I've said this, and I think comedian Aziz said it before, and the way he put it was just like, but he was talking about white people. It was different. But he was just saying, I feel like some of these people are just playing a game where you get X amount of points for different things you do, and people are just trying to get certain points. And it's like, oh yeah, I got diagnosed with this, mental health. I'm part of this cause. Oh yeah, I kissed a guy. Yeah, homosexual, LGBTQ. Yeah, check that box. It's like, and it's just like people are just adding up points to say that they are morally better than other people. And that's not to say that's everybody or a lot of people. It's just something that I think about. So anyway, with all that being said, mental health is definitely a real thing. It's definitely an issue. It's something that can't be seen. But the way people champion it now and the way people are trying to run with it, I think is doing more harm than good. And we need to continue to talk to people and let them know there are people outside of just mental health issues. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And until next episode.